Well, you're just in time for this week's episode of Setting the Pace here on Zuko Sports. Thank you so much for watching, and hello and welcome. My name is Sadiq Shaban. We have so much lined up for you in this episode. We are speaking for the first time to former double world champion Vivian Cheruiyot. You want to stay around and hear what she has to say. Also, in this episode, we will be discussing in great detail what may have gone wrong for some of the Kenyan athletes who just returned into the country from the World Championships in athletics. Coming up, we'll be telling you what it takes to cover the TV aspect of the biggest sporting event of 2013. This is Setting the Pace. This week in history marks a very important milestone in athletics. In August of 1932 is a year that Abedi Bikile, the first African to win double gold in Olympics, was born. He is remembered having been the only man and the first man to win gold in the 1960 Games Olympics while running barefoot. Well, so what has been happening in the world of athletics since we last met on air? Quite a lot. As if Uganda's Stephen Kiprotich marathon win against Kenyans in the World Championships in Russia wasn't humiliating enough, another Ugandan inflicted an even bigger running lessons to Kenyans at home. This time, little-known Ugandan Solomon Mutai won the 2013 edition of the Mombasa International Marathon. And speaking of Stephen Kiprotich, what has he been up to this week? Well, the World Marathon champion was treated to a presidential feast in recognition of his triumph at the World Athletics Championships in Moscow. Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni gave Kiprotich a brand new Mitsubishi Pajero car and promised to build the athlete a 3-bedroom house. And also in the news this week from South Africa, no doubt, is Oscar Pistorius, who was indicted on charge of murdering his girlfriend. Pistorius will face a charge also of illegal possession of ammunition when he goes on trial on March 3rd in a South African court in Pretoria. Well, with the news aside and the Ugandans claiming a scalp from Kenyans, who knows what Uganda has for Kenya in the next edition of the Commonwealth Games next year, or even better, the Olympic Games coming up in Brazil in 2016. This week, again, we cannot have this discussion in reference to the World Championships in athletics without mentioning things that came to fore when the Kenya national team came back from Moscow. There was a lot to talk about, not the medals, not the performance, but what was perhaps, many would say, was hidden among the ranks of the team managers and the team doctors. Were some Kenyan athletes forced to run in Moscow while injured?
I knew that guy actually had a problem, a little problem when we arrived here. He had a problem in the knee, in the leg. So he was actually not 100% fit. So he was actually saying maybe I will not. But he had to do it because we were actually encouraging each other to go and do his best, you know.
And just to bring that topic into perspective, I'm joined by two professionals, both of whom were in Moscow. I'm very democratic here. I don't know whether democracy or gender roles should apply here. Ladies first, they say, but men before?
Okay, I'll take it. Ladies first.
But ladies normally have the last laugh.
No, it's rarely you get this chance in Africa, so when you get it, you exploit it.
In sport, is even better?
No, everywhere. So let me grab it. Ladies first.
Ladies first. Evelyn Water, a sports writer with sportsnewsarena.com. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. And on my right, the man who needs little introduction as far as our Zuko viewers are concerned. He was in Moscow, came back with some bottles of vodka really from there. Importantly, he's the sports editor at Daily Nation, and importantly also, the sports journalist of the year for the IAAF. Elias Makore, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Anything from Russia, apart from the 2 bottles of vodka you brought?
No, there's actually more than 2. Got some in the hand luggage, so perhaps when we're off air, we can indulge.
Many thanks indeed for both of you for joining us. Evelyn, let me just start with you. In your review of Moscow 2013, you really left very little to how you felt about how athletes, some of whom were treated while competing for Kenya.
Yes, because this is something that had happened before, and it was just a replication, but in a different, the same script, but different scene. So I thought, why are we having this discussion again about the injury? We shouldn't be talking about this, because there was actually even a leaked games report which said that part of the reason Team Kenya didn't perform well in London was because of the injuries. Then the injuries came to fore again at the World Championships, and in the same style. So what could have happened to Margaret? And she looked like she was writhing in pain. So definitely it was an hamstring injury, not something that she could have picked in Moscow.
Makori, it was the same observation you made while interviewing Edwin Soy, who spoke immediately after that first hit in Moscow. And he gave you more than what you had bargained for.
Yeah, I mean, Edwin said he was surprised that one of his teammates didn't run according to the script, but he said he knew that he came with an injury from Nairobi. So really, this is something that the management needs to come out and tell Kenyans what really happened, because what we know and what we have evidence of is that they carried injured athletes all the way to Moscow, only for them to perform dismally. Should have brought Augustine Choge, who was in shape of his life. You saw him running in London, the 3,000 meters, got a special award from SEBCO. He was overlooked, an injured athlete was taken to Moscow, and this really played into Mo Farah's hands. Mo himself said the Kenyans didn't run as a team. It's on record, and action really needs to be taken.
And looking at how women ran, perhaps, Evelyn, many people really would say the story wasn't about the 800 meters winner. It was how she won.
Exactly, because she was actually hoping to bank on Janet Jepkosgei's leadership role in the 800 meters. But unfortunately, she never took to the track. Why? She was injured. She says that according to the nature of the injury, she picked it up during training in Moscow. But we know that the kind of injury she developed was something she had before she traveled. But I think the question is, why are these athletes hiding these injuries?
I mean, what a question she has thrown, Elias Makori. And David Rudisha at this particular point comes to mind.
We only know Kenyan medics to be put into the team only when the team is traveling or a short while before. But there's no long-term, program to take care of the athletes. I personally talked to somebody, like Martin Lell. Martin has spent more than 4 million shillings treating his injury. He even got, treated by the Chelsea team doctor, Chelsea FC. You can imagine how expensive that is. And all along, the association is doing nothing.
This could mean the end of a career for some people if they aggravate the injury that they had previously going into Moscow.
I totally agree with you. And I think it's Athletics Kenya, they're just being lazy and taking shortcuts. They don't want to go through okay, it's not a long route, but they don't just want to go through the process of replacing the athlete. For them, they have made it that their selection process, running at Nyayo during the trials or running at Kasarani during the trials, is final. And anything else is not running according to script. I talked to someone in London, one of the officials, who told me that, yes, we knew about the injuries, but replacing the accreditation is hectic. So what does it mean? It means you'd rather leave this person out or take them out there and don't force them to run, because what happens if they aggravate the injury?
Very well, Evelyn, just hold on to that thought. And we have now to look at a person who missed Moscow 2013, not because of injury or anything else, but because of choice. Vivian Chepkemoi Cheruiyot, former world champion, double world champion in 5,000 and 10,000, is currently running her own race. It's a maternal race that she says is better than anything else, any race she has ever run all her life.
My pregnancy is going on well, and I'm really happy because it's my first child, and I'm eager to see him or her.
This came as a shock, Vivian, after seeing you in Olympics, and then this was a very important year in your career. You were the double world champion in 5,000 and 10,000. It's something you had planned already for, or the maternal duty was stronger than the urge to take part in the World Championship?
We planned it at 2012 after Olympic Games. I should have a break, and also it's also important to have a child. It's not good for an athlete to run without a child. So the maternal side, it's also important, and athletics is important. That is why I decided to keep a break this 2013 in order to be back in 2015.
And when do you anticipate you'll be back running then after these maternal duties?
Because I'm delivering October, let's say late October, I'll stay like 5 months if I'll deliver normal, and then maybe April next year I'll start slowly by slowly, but maybe you'll see me in some winter cross countries next year. I know that if my body will respond well, which I know it's going to be good, I wish to retain my title in 2015.
What is your future in terms of running? How much longer do you intend to run 5,000 or 10,000 meters? Or do you plan to venture into the road race? And when do you anticipate that would be?
Yes, I'm planning to do it track and field 2015 and 2016. Maybe 2017 I'll start to do some road races in way to marathon. I missed in Olympic Games in 2012, but that one has happened. But I'm still dreaming that one day, one time, I'll get a medal in Olympic Games, which will cover up everything that I've done in championships.
Kenyans, your supporters all over the world, who now know you will not take part this year in athletics and part of 2014, when they call you, what are they telling you?
Most people, they really support me in athletics when I'm running. But I tell them that we have other Vivians who are in the team, so we should support them.
You have achieved a lot of success in cross-country at the world level. What is the future of 5,000 meters and 10,000 meters in the Kenyan women team? In women, they have that time to train, and they have chances in athletics, not like men. Inside of men, it is very competitive, because if you see men, you'll get 20, 25, they are very strong. But if you see in women, we are not that serious. You find that like the young athletes, when they come up like youths, when they get they get money, say a little money, they can say we are okay, we have danced, we are okay, we are world champions, and they cannot even know that they need to run for a long time. So that is why you cannot get athletes who can maintain from youth to senior. So, but for me, I know that I like so much when we meet with small like youths. I normally talk to them that I started when I was young, and you see I'm still there. So you should maintain discipline, and you should know that you have talent of athletics, you have talent of running, so you have to use it wisely. So that is why you find some athletes, they don't care if they go once for a championship, they see everything is fine. So according to those athletes who was banned the other day, I want to tell them that it is good to run natural. It's not good to use drugs so that you can run quick, or so that people will know that you are running good. But to run natural, it means that you have to train hard. Everything is hard working. You should work hard. Like for me, I normally work hard. I know to know that I want to run quick, and it's something which is natural that I'll be happy for the rest of my life, because I cannot be happy when I'm using something, but when I'm running naturally, I'll be so happy. So I want to tell also the young ones that they should be disciplined. They should not use any drugs. This is the moment I would imagine if you and I were taking part in a race, I would beat you for the first time.
Maybe in 400 meters, but you can beat me because I'm heavy.
Why do they call you Pocket Rocket?
They called me because of the last kick, but now
you don't have the kick.
I don't have the kick now.
Your last kick is always so fast, it's compared to the speed of a rocket. That's why they call it pocket rocket. Do you have another name now that you're in this situation?
I don't have.
Maybe I can suggest one.
You can just suggest one for me.
Vivian Cheruiyot. And here's a man that gave her that name, Pocket Rocket. I don't know whether he had taken a shot of vodka while writing that and giving her that name.
I was actually as sober as a priest or I was very sober. That was, I mean, she deserved a name that is reflective of her power and might on the track. You know, she is small, dynamic, and very fast, like, Pocket Rocket, the former Turkish weightlifter, Naim Suleimanoglu. Tiny guy, but he won the Olympic gold. So, yeah, Vivian Pocket Rocket.
You think the baby would also be a little pocket rocket?
You never know, because not necessarily does it follow that if you're a runner, your kid is also a runner. Like Haile Gebrselassie kids are not, they play football and actually one of them is overweight. You never know.
Evelyn, what name would you give? Vivian Cheruiyot has more than 6 nicknames. We just picked on 2, Pocket Rocket. Perhaps any nickname that comes to mind at this particular point?
Maybe even the son or the daughter will be a fashion designer. You see the president, Uhuru Kenyatta, he's the president, but what is the son? A fashion designer. So maybe Vivian's son or daughter could even be a journalist. Maybe they will be the next host of the Setting the Pace.
Agreed. I think this is the only time where we can say we can beat Vivian Cheruiyot in athletics.
Yeah,
exactly.
Definitely. Bring her on.
And Vivian Cheruiyot, you say you're due in October, so your clock ticks right now. Well, let's clear this issue of Moscow 2013. So what does the Kenyan public think of the revelations about allegedly that some athletes were forced to run with injury in Moscow?
Huwezi furahi kuacha mkimbiaji Kenya na unachukua mtu akona injury anaenda kukula bench huko. Alafu unapatikana Kenya hajafanya chochote, gold hakuna. Watu wako na injuries. Ni mbaya sana. Ifai kwa hivyo kabisa.
If I were a coach, I would not allow an athlete to go for competitions while having an injury, because it's making it more worse.
If I am a player and have an injury, I can't play because the injury will affect me.
It was not proper at all. If somebody has an injury, let that person remain and somebody else to go. Maybe if we have the person who's number 1, let's take number 2. And then from there we take somebody competent, somebody who is healthy, and from there we shall acquire medals.
Well, both Evelyn Water and Elias Makori were in Moscow to cover the championship this year. But I would imagine this is a time that Elias Makori got an opportunity before taking a shot or 2 of vodka to go around the Luzhniki Stadium to look at the hundreds of cameras that captured the pictures you saw on Zuku Sports. And he also spoke to the IAAF chief in charge of the broadcasting.
Ashby will hand over to Usain Bolt.
You've been watching it on TV, you've been seeing it on Zuku, but probably you don't know what happens behind the scenes. Right here, I'm at the TV area where all the hard work goes to bring you the pictures, the images, and the news. And I'm joined by beautiful Sonia, who works here. Perhaps she can tell us, Sonia, what really happens here? We've no idea what happens behind the scenes.
We don't know what happens in the mix zone. Well, the mix zone is basically the place where the athletes and the journalists meet and can exchange the information about what's going on. And this is really, really exciting because it's that moment where they just ran, where they just got a medal, and all the emotions are spread. So it's basically where the journalists do their job, what they do best.
And I've seen a few famous faces here. Maurice Green, I saw Johan Blake the other day doing television.
Yes.
How many stars have you seen, doing commentary, switching from running to now being broadcasters?
To be honest, I don't know, but a lot. I think this is the championships where I've seen more stars actually doing journalism.
Now what happens? I see the athletes. I see the Jamaicans. They've just won the gold medal in the sprint. So they walk around talking to all these guys.
Yes, but they decide to whom they talk. So normally the Jamaicans, you will see that they go straight to their national television, which makes sense. And then basically there's the IAAF trying to moderate a little just in case they spend too much time on one place or the other. And we have our liaisons here trying to ease up a little bit the job for the journalists.
Honest, we're doing behind the scenes. I mean, you are behind the scenes person, but with a lot of experience in broadcasting. What are your thoughts of these championships and your job in the last one week here?
It's been a very good championship, sporting-wise and also organizational-wise. So we're having fun.
How many broadcasters in all were accredited to, cover the championships?
We had about 2,200.
Is it the biggest in the championships, or you've had bigger?
Yeah, it's one of the biggest. Yeah, now we do use online accreditation, so everything is more accurate, and you can count the numbers. In the olden days, there could have been more, but technology has made it easier to count.
And in terms of technology, any new things that were put in place this time? You had new cameras coming through, and any new innovations for this championship?
We're just developing what we have and making it better. The spider cam and stuff like that. We have new technology for information. So we have a new CIS, commentators information system, as well in place. And then the way we distribute the signals is also changing very rapidly.
Thanks a lot, Ernest.
I won't go to Makori. Let me start with you first, because then I know what he's going to tell me. Okay. What was your moment in personally as a journalist and as a person in Moscow?
For the Kenyan team, there were two moments. I think Edna Kiplagat's marathon win deserved a standing ovation. It was extremely hot, and she was left alone. We had actually just written her off.
And as far as the behind the scenes is concerned, how long would you say the local media has to match that international standards of broadcasting?
We're getting there. I think the Kenyan media is getting there. We were there. I think we were about 10 journalists, which was probably the highest from Africa. So we are certainly getting there. Well,
very well. And Makori, there's so much I know we can discuss about that, but what was your moment really, even as you went around interacting with Jamaicans, Mo Farah and all that? How much was going on behind the scenes that we probably, because of time, cannot capture on it?
Well, actually, my most memorable moment was not on the track. It was, when the president came in, President Uhuru Kenyatta, and started mingling with the athletes. I mean, it was so free seeing him going to a serious meeting with the president of the IAAF, and he was wearing the Kenyan tracksuit. That really inspired the athletes that our president is so down to earth. David Lekuta Rudisha broke the world record in London last year during the Olympics. And the question is, what was the time? What was the world record time that still stands until today that David Rudisha set in London last year?
And this is why I pick it up. Please tweet us at Zuku Sports, and the winners of that will get a beautiful hamper from Zuku here on the show next week. I'm going to have to let you guys go because I know it's really difficult to let you go. It's like you've been running a marathon, but both, thank you so much for your time.
Spasiba.
Spasiba, yes. Thank you.
In Russian.
In Russian.
Well, there you have it. Elias Makori there asking the question for us. David Rudisha's world record in 800 meters that was set last year in London. This week, I will provide an answer to the question I asked last week, and I asked you when and where were the modern day World Athletics Championship first held? Well, none of you got it right. It was first held in 1983 in Helsinki, Finland. Well, thank you indeed so much for watching this episode of Setting the Pace this week. For the team, I'm Sadiq Shaban. Goodbye for now.